What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see the daily Ravens content, make sure to subscribe button down below and the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Before I get into this video, I want to give a quick shout out to the Detroit Lions for tying the Pittsburgh Steelers. A shout out to the New England Patriots for beating the brakes off of the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, I can't even remember what happened in the Cincinnati game. Oh, wait, they were on a bye, so they didn't win either. So shout out to the scheduling to make sure Cincinnati wouldn't win this week. So shout out to those guys. Ravens still winning the division. But in this video, I want to talk about something, and feel free, guys, to comment down below, especially if you disagree with me. I may be the only one that's kind of thinking this, but I feel like I am getting more and more concerned over the idea that Lamar Jackson may leave the Ravens in the offseason. And one, I'm going to say that I wouldn't blame him because the first thing that I look at it is like, how have the Ravens been helping him? Now, honestly, I gotta say this before I even start talking. Lamar Jackson is I think he's a very loyal person. I don't think that he's somebody, he's very different from a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is just like, screw everybody. Like Lamar wants to do right, not just by himself, but he wants to do right by his family, his friends, in the organization. I think he's very close with this organization. So if he did decide to leave, it would be a really, really big move for him. And I don't expect that. However, I do have some concerns. And the first concern has to do with the lack of the Ravens giving him good chances to have success. Because it feels like no matter how well, like it feels like when the Ravens win, it's very rare that the Ravens come out and you're like, what a game plan, right? Like this team, they were prepared. It comes like when they win, it's like Lamar played so well. Like he carried this team, and that's what it seems like. Like it's very rare where you get to games, games coached by Belichick and things like that back when he had Brady, and you come out and it's like you look at the Rams Patriots Super Bowl, and you come out and that wasn't Brady carrying the Patriots. That was a ridiculously good game plan by Bill Belichick, and they were able to shut down that Rams offense. You look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl last year, and you're like Bruce Arians and that coaching staff. And I'm not saying that Brady played bad. I think the Buccaneers all played really well, but it was like a terrific game plan to beat the Chiefs, and it worked. Like the Ravens, it seems like they never really have the game plan. It's just like, oh, why did they win? Lamar just went absolutely crazy, which is very different from what it's been in the last couple seasons. Last couple years, it's been Ravens come in, their game plan is completely unstoppable. They drop 45 points and they win by 30. That's like game plan. Now it comes out and the Ravens struggle at the beginning because the game plan isn't working. They fall behind, and then all of a sudden it's like, Lamar Jackson, please save us. And that's exactly what he does. He saves them almost every single time. Now, unfortunately, this last week against the Dolphins, he wasn't able to do it. But we can't fault him for not being Superman every single week. Okay, you can't ask that from anybody. I don't care if you have Lamar Jackson. I don't care if you have Patrick Mahomes. I don't care if you have 2007 Tom Brady, Marino, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning. Nobody can be Superman every single week. That's just too much to ask. And when you don't have a game plan and a scheme that's helping you out, it's not going to allow your team to be nearly as great as it is. And so for me, my concern when it comes to Lamar Jackson in this is they don't have to, like, it just seems like they're not willing to shift anything up. Like they try and do the same thing every time. They've been trying to do the same thing every single week for the last 3 years, basically. And it's really good. It's really good, but it hasn't been good enough, and it's not evolving. It's not adapting. It's not changing. Now Lamar is evolving. Lamar is adapting, and Lamar is changing. He is getting better and better, like drastically better every single season. But the game plan isn't. It's the same thing. And it's not only the same thing that Lamar's been doing. It's the same thing that Tyrod was doing. It's the same thing that Kaepernick was doing. I mean, it hasn't changed in the last 10 years. And by that, it hasn't changed. I'm talking about Greg Roman's scheme. And I'm not a big-time Greg Roman hater. Like, I've talked about, like, if the Ravens kept Greg Roman in-house and he stayed as, like, a run game coordinator or something like, that would be completely okay. But the Ravens seem not inability to adapt, but, like, unwillingness, if that's even a word, to try and shift things up. Like, it's crazy to me because they changed so much to be like so Lamar focused when he, ended up fully taking over, and they counted on him. They were like, oh yeah, we're going to go all in. And they went all in, and they were like, all right, that's the one thing we're going to do. We're not going to change anything. Now, Eric DeCosta's done a really good job. He's brought in weapons. He's keeping Lamar happy. He's given Mark Andrews his deal. He's drafting Lamar's friend Hollywood. He's getting the guys that Lamar likes, and that's very clear. And I think Lamar has been happy with Eric DeCosta in terms of bringing in guys. Lamar goes out there and he's like, yeah, we got Big Al. I believe in him. Obviously, Ronnie Stanley got hurt. That's unfortunate. And I got to address the injuries. Like, obviously, people get hurt. That sucks. But even when guys were healthy, like last year, it still wasn't enough. Like, yes, the Ravens made additions this year from last year, but they also lost some guys. They lost Judon. They lost Yannick. And we see what Judon is doing in New England. He's balling out. We see Yannick has had some good games in Las Vegas. Like, overall, it's just one of those things where it's like, when will Lamar – because Lamar's ultimate goal isn't to become the best football player of all time. That's not his goal. I mean, maybe that's part of his goal, but his goal is to win a Super Bowl, right? It's never been about the individual with Lamar Jackson. That's never what it's been about. It wasn't that in college. He wasn't going out at Louisville saying, I need to win the Heisman. That wasn't his goal. He wanted to win the national championship. Got to the NFL, he wants to win the Super Bowl. And at what point will he potentially realize that with the Ravens, because I'm going to say it right now, if the Ravens don't change things up, I don't think that they're going to be able to win a Super Bowl, no matter how great Lamar is. I just feel like the scheme is just lacking. When will Lamar get to that point where he recognizes, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to win here? Because he's going to get money from Baltimore. The Ravens are going to offer him whatever he wants. But it just comes down to him. And there is a benefit. Lamar doesn't have an agent. That actually really helps the Ravens in this scenario, because I guarantee you, if Lamar Jackson had an agent, like a typical sport, I know his mom is his agent and stuff like that, but it's very close with him and his mom. But if Lamar had an agent, you know what they would be telling him? Man, you want to win a Super Bowl? Hey, go to Denver. Go to trying to think of teams that will need quarterbacks this offseason. Go to Denver. Go to Washington. Go to even Green Bay. I don't know. Whatever it is. They're gonna be like, if you want to win a Super Bowl, that's where you should go. And they're gonna try and pull him away from that. Because, like I said, if the Ravens aren't changing things up, it could be the same thing that happened to Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right? I think most people would agree with that. He's one of the most talented players to ever play the game. So was Brett Favre. Those guys only won one. They won combined 2 Super Bowls. They each only won 1 Super Bowl. And those are some of the greatest football players ever. And Lamar Jackson absolutely has the ability to get into that conversation in terms of greatest quarterbacks of all time. Some of the most talented, some of the most skilled. He can absolutely be there. But those guys, what held them back? Coaching. The coaching held them back. And there's a reason why a lot of people look at Green Bay and they say, wow, Aaron Rodgers was so great. How come he never won that much? They weren't really getting the right players around him. They weren't building the right scheme. And it just became Aaron Rodgers willing them to victory. And that's what it's felt like this year. It's been Lamar willing them to victory. Aaron Rodgers used to have Mike McCarthy as his head coach. Aaron Rodgers would literally be like, Mike McCarthy, no, I'm not going to do what you tell me, because what you tell me is stupid. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to run this offense, and he's going to dominate on the football field and get all these touchdowns. Lamar Jackson's not at that point where he's telling Greg Roman, no, I'm not going to run your plays. But the plays aren't working a lot of the time. And when you're as talented as Lamar Jackson, you want an offense that's going to be able to utilize your strengths and utilize your skills to be able to win games. And the scheme isn't doing that. He is carrying the scheme rather than the scheme elevating him. And that's a big time difference. Big time difference. And if he recognizes that the Ravens aren't going to make a change, there's a chance that he may try and get out. Or sign a shorter deal. And there's a chance that Lamar goes and says, hey, get me a new scheme. or I'm leaving, which it feels like that's not something he would do. But it's just a situation where like you got to keep your quarterback happy. And, you know, when we see Lamar Jackson on the sideline so angry because, you know, he's talking with the receivers, but it's like the receivers they can't even run routes because the routes are the concepts are just so poor, or at least in that Dolphins game, they were so poor. There's been some decent concepts that they've used throughout the year. You got to find a way to make him happy and allow him to have a scheme that works. He's dropping back. He's getting hit every single play. The offensive line is playing poorly. The scheme is not very good. The running game isn't helping. The defense is nowhere near as good as it used to be. What is forcing him to stay other than his loyalty? And I think right now I'm still like fairly confident that he's staying. I'm just saying there's a growing doubt in my mind that he may actually leave Baltimore. But let me know. Am I crazy for that kind of idea? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you everybody for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content, and I will see all of you again.